Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
Playlist and you can find it early.
Oh, okay. Thank you. But it's fine. I'm ready. I'm prepared.
You're ready?
Yes.
Okay. Hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Part 2. Joining me today is...
Shaboy Rascal.
Indeed. Shaboy indeed. Before we get into the episode, I want you, the listener, to know that you can download episodes of Geeky Gentlemen and listen on the go. There's a link in the description. Download this episode. You can also download older episodes of Geeky Gentlemen. Just leave a comment on an old episode, and I will upload it to the downloading website for you. To find an old episode of Geeky Gentlemen, check out the Geeky Gentlemen playlist. Okay, Rascal, what are we talking about this week?
Today we're talking about a fan film called Tron Ignition.
Yeah, Rascal, you and I need to talk. 'Cause, I have no idea what we're going to say about this. It's 5 minutes long. It's not that there's no story, but the story is incredibly simple.
Yeah.
I can only talk about effects for so long. We're going to have a hard time is what I'm saying.
We'll find a way. We'll make it through.
Yeah. If we can't make it past 15 minutes, I got a bonus episode I can throw up with Deadpool Zilla later today, too. So, maybe that'll be the plan. Anyway, so what made you want to pick this?
I have no idea, actually. I don't know anything about Tron. I haven't even seen Tron Legacy. So, I saw the first Tron, one time. Remember very little except for how it looks. Haven't even seen Tron Legacy. And I saw this fan film, and I was just like, Tron, that seems like something... Well, actually, okay, I think this is what made me choose it. I was thinking about, fan films that we've talked about in the past that, the fact that we have to go and use, what we would consider to now be, fan film special effect techniques, and how, certain franchises kind of use those techniques when they started, so it kind of, works for a fan film. Mm-hmm. I imagined that, things like that Han Solo fan film we talked about, how we talked about how, that, some of the effects in that, they look like old original trilogy Star Wars effects, and that's kind of cool, adds to the thing. It lends itself to being a fan film extra well. And I was thinking that, maybe Tron would be one of those things that, those kind of effects I think people could achieve, and they would almost kind of, look very Tron-like.
You're talking about, original Tron or new Tron?
So I'm assuming that this is more, design like new Tron.
Yeah. But
the effects are a little bit more like old Tron.
See, I disagree as someone who has seen Tron Legacy. And Tron, for that matter, though it's been years for both of them. I saw Tron Legacy once in the theaters. I saw Tron a week beforehand on DVD. This is definitely more, everything about the aesthetic here is 100% new Tron. At least that's what it's going for. It doesn't 100% succeed. It gets really close. I'd call it an 85. Just a couple things here and there that they can't quite pull off, but they get damn close. Better than anything I can do, I'll tell you that much. The lines behind the bikes in Neutron, it's slightly more transparent. It doesn't look like a straight glow like it did back in the day. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's subtle, but they still do a good job getting everything. So I don't know. I was fairly impressed with the effects. It's got kind of flat acting, which is the problem in a lot of fan films. So it's not really taking too many points away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the story's about, though.
I don't either.
And I'm not sure if that's because, like, it's been so long since I've seen Tron and Legacy that I just don't understand what I'm watching, or if really there is no story.
Yeah. Having not seen Tron Legacy, I really don't know. But that being said, this is one of those fan films that is definitely like more of a look at how good we are with the technical stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting. I do want to talk story for a minute, because Tron, the original Tron and Legacy to a lesser extent, had this whole thing of an atheist world and then, like, the religiously devoted. Had this whole idea of, like, because in the original Tron, they're all like, oh, we're being persecuted like Christians in the Colosseum because of our belief in the users. Like, that was the whole thing in the original Tron. And then Legacy gets all muddled or whatever. And then this has this moment where Tron is going to kill a user, I think? Or no, is going to kill a program for believing in users because it's against the rules. And so I just don't know. It's all over the place. But I think there's some religious commentary there, because the dude straight up says, what's the specific line? We don't need the rules. People are sensible. Will have perfect ignition on its own.
Yeah, he said that.
Yeah, so, like, I don't know, if we parallel this to real world, if we get all Nietzschean here, we don't need God to have morality. People will act morally on their own because they're sensible. And there will be peace. I think I might be being way too generous and reading way too much into it. But that's, like, from what I could gather, the best estimation of what this is trying to say.
I don't think you're reaching. I think that's probably exactly it.
Okay. It's maybe a little heavy a message for something that I don't think does enough on its own to deliver that.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause, like, I don't know, it's because we have no background on who these characters are.
Yeah.
And maybe that's our fault for not watching the original Tron and Tron Legacy before this, but I don't know. I feel like more context is needed for that message to work very well on its own.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
You're definitely right. It's one of those things where it could just be that they needed somebody to have something to say.
Mm-hmm.
And so they thought of, like, well, what is something that is very Tron-ish that we can just have them say so that our characters can speak to each other?
Mm-hmm.
But I really don't think it's any more complicated than you laid out. And I don't think that you're necessarily reaching when you say that. That's actually really interesting, because it's been so long since I've even seen the original Tron to even be able to talk about it on those terms. Like,
that's what I got from the original Tron, was this whole, like, the world enforces kind of, you know, the world of Tron is kind of like pagan Rome persecuting Christians, was the best way I could think to describe it to you. Like, that's why they were fighting in gladiatorial games and stuff. And then Legacy, oh god, I can barely remember that movie, and that's the problem. Legacy, like, is basically imagine Jesus in hiding, I guess? I don't know how to really say that. It's like, it's less clear distinction. But like basically Jeff Bridges goes back and creates a digital version of himself to help him run the program, and like the digital version of himself has a mandate to help make a perfect world or something like that. And in doing so, he leads the programs in revolt against the users.
Okay.
And Jeff Bridges is like forced into exile inside the world of Tron. And so I don't know if there's like a direct parallel to that. Maybe, I'm going to stretch like hell here, maybe the church going astray from the word of Christ? Like, it's really generous for Tron Legacy to interpret it that way, but that's the best I can do. The religious subtext is there, but it's not very well handled. And so if we're going to connect it back to this and like the idea... Okay, so wait. The girl's the program, the guy's the user, right?
I believe so.
Okay. So... then it's weird for Tron to be arguing with him in this.
Or maybe it's reversed.
No, because they specifically say your user friend.
Okay.
To the girl, right? Right?
Yeah, and he's talking to the guy, and he's like, we need them for perfect ignition.
Yeah, it's so confusing. You have to be way too generous to give the story of this much ground to run on. Otherwise, it's literally girl running away, gets kidnapped, guy chases him down, fights him, girl saves the day at the end.
Yeah. And to be fair, we've had, like, fan films on here before that have less of a story. Like, the Alien Isolation fan film we reviewed, that was literally, like, a scene from like, a brief scene.
This feels like the climax to a movie I didn't get to see. Like, I feel like I snuck into the theater during the last 5 minutes of a film.
Do you think that, like, they could have just, like, completely scrapped any of that dialogue and just, like, had a cool action scene?
I mean, I feel like I could dub over it. And we have, a less confusing film. I feel like I could dub over all their dialogue, because Tron, he's in the helmet, so you could have him say whatever the fuck you want. It would be fairly easy to dub over the guy, because he only has a couple lines. Everyone else only says 2 or 3 things. I don't know, I feel like I could change the story however I wanted. Or the dialogue to make the story whatever I want it to be about.
You stole my chips!
Yeah.
No, I didn't. We need those chips for a perfect ignition. No, I didn't.
I don't know what the hell the title is about. Like, we use the phrase perfect ignition. So Tron, like, if ignition means living morally, I don't know what the fuck the Tron morality? What?
We need the
Tron
commandments.
Yeah, the commandments of Tron. One must always... Yeah. One must always close the browser before turning off the computer. I don't know. This is all over the place to talk about the story because I just don't feel there's enough there to justify much to say. Mm-hmm. What do you think of the effects?
So I think that this, like I said, this is one of those things where you don't do this without using a lot of effects. So it's not one of those things where I can go, oh, less would have been better. I can't say that. That being said, I don't think this needs that. I think this does a really, really great job. And compared to some of the other things we've seen that use greens, I'm assuming, is this green screen? Like, this,
oh, of course.
This is how you would achieve this. One of the things that I was really impressed by was I feel like, is it just me, or are their suits, does it feel like their suits are really emitting light, like, onto their faces?
I'm not sure about that, because, like, there's that scene where they get off the scaffolding from the grabber, or whatever the hell that thing is. I'm going to call it the Space Invader. They get off the platform from the Space Invader, and then they, like, walk towards the camera, and the light from their suits disappears.
Interesting.
And that wouldn't happen unless they intended... Like, they'd have to go in and intentionally make the masking work so it would go away. But that wouldn't happen if it was actual LED light and they just shot it. But if it's a green screen, then you could make that. If it's a green screen and they walked into, like, a dark spot in the film intentionally, then you could make it disappear. I don't know, like, maybe they just painted green on their outfits and then went in post and, like, mapped them or something. I don't know.
I think you're right, because I'm going back and I'm looking through the scenes with the audio off, and it's like blue light shines on everyone's face. So it looks like kind of cool. You're like, oh, that's cool when you see like the characters that are supposed to be blue. But even the guy with the no helmet on, who's got like the red, even he kind of has like blue light on his face.
Gotcha.
So that doesn't quite work. But I mean, it's not like too distracting or anything like that. That being said, like I think that the effects in this are really cool. I think that the part where he like transforms into like the bike is really awesome.
Yeah, that looks great. I think the bikes look fantastic. I love the... You know, it's not... So often in CG, and I'm certainly guilty of this, you just have perfectly stable camera that, like, has no movement. And so when you do, like, really subtle things like camera shake and CG, I'm always more impressed with you. This has that. Like, I love that opening shot as the Space Invader goes... like passes through to the camera and the camera shakes and you get that bass hum. That's a cool fucking job of just understanding filmmaking. That's really cool. There's some creative shots. We talked about this already. They shot this on a green screen. During the fight scene, they do a 360 pan.
Yeah.
That's hard to do on a green screen.
Yeah, that was the big thing where I was like, how is that even real? Like, I was like really impressed by that.
I mean, I want to look at that fight again real quick and just talk. Like, we could almost do a triple commentary on this. Ignition. Not Tron Igniter.
Tron Ignorance.
Because, I don't know, I'm just trying to figure out... Yeah, they say it's the user about the guy, by the way. Bike scene... Where's the fight scene at? Okay, so... Yeah, that's definitely green screen. Like, when he flips over, I could see how they could do that. Seeing how they fight, though. I just want to look at this, because... if the ground goes, like, straight black underneath them, that could explain it. So, okay, guys, quit running toward each other. No, that's got to be on green screen. There's no way it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know how they would do that, necessarily, unless... It is at a really low angle. So maybe they have a green screen and they have a green screen and an L and they laid it out on the floor. I'm really not sure. It looks great though.
Yeah, that's a really cool shot. Like that whole thing right there. That's just
yeah. I will say one thing though. The fight has this one really weird moment where I don't know what to make of it. It's when like the guy in the blue swings and like, I'm not sure if he's being blocked or what's happening. It just looks kind of weird. Okay, you're running. It's at, like, 3:30, I'd say, is when it happens. His, like, arm just kind of hangs there. I'm not sure if they just got a bad block or what happened.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure you're right. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it just looks like they were at the wrong angle or something.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be a block and their arms just don't quite connect.
Yeah, that's disappointing because it kind of... That did stick out to me every time I watched it. Kind of spoils a pretty cool fight scene. So, like, there's a lot of running in this. Because there's, like, the girl running at the beginning, and then there's these two running toward each other. And for 5 minutes, there's like, at least a good 20 to 30 seconds of running. And that's not okay. You don't need dramatic running. Like, they even put the running in slow motion.
Yeah.
And I just don't need that. I get it. You're running toward each other. You're on a green screen. You're using a treadmill or something. Good for you. I don't need you to keep showing off. Like
Ian hates running.
Yeah, fuck that shit. I got a car for a reason, goddammit.
Get with the times, Tron.
Yeah. I don't know, so that's just like I'm not sure if they either got a treadmill to do it or if they were just running in place and they put it in slow motion to kind of offset that. I don't know.
Yeah, what I'm wondering is how they get him when he turns into the bike.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's really impressive because it's like he's running and then he like does like a really convincing like dive forward.
Yeah.
Like, I'm wondering if like there's a point there where he switches and he's like some sort of like it's not him anymore. I'm like it's I don't know, like I'm just wondering how they.
I'm just looking at it
because I don't see like a moment where like it changes from being him to being like a model or something.
Well, my guess would be they probably just put him in slow motion and made the effect pop up around him. Because eventually, like, the wireframe's only on the bike for a couple seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine they just put the dive, in slow motion, because it slows down. Everything does. They just had him dive and then put it in slow motion and built the bike around him. Mm-hmm. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, but that's, like, one of the more impressive things that they do in the entire fan film, just that shot of him running and then jumping. It's pretty cool.
Yep. It looks great. I mean, I'm not going to lie. This is certainly better than anything I could do. Or, I don't know. Maybe I'll give myself a little credit because I like glowy things, so maybe I could do this if I had the models already. No, I think I could even build some of these models. I'm not going to say it's not something I would ever do, but it's better than anything I've done. I'll put it that way. It looks really, really smooth. Just naturally, of course, I like glowy things, so.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe my only criticism is there maybe one or two. It cuts to black a couple times.
Okay, yes, that was what I was going to bring up as like my main negative. Now, that is a little strange because to me, like, I think that's just kind of awkward editing.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, that doesn't happen that often in film. And when it does...
It's a dramatic moment. It's not like just a cut,
yeah,
right?
It's either supposed to be a dramatic moment or somebody gets knocked unconscious.
Yeah.
And it's not just like they flipped off their bike. Like, what's weird about it is, like, it happens, like, once when he gets, like, flipped off his bike.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, it's just, the next scene, it's, like, him walking.
Yeah.
And, or like, the other guy who just got knocked off his bike, he gets up, and then the other guy is just, like, walking forward. And so it's like, they didn't need that. Nobody got knocked unconscious there. Because the scene just picks right up. So that's a kind of a strange editing choice.
Yeah.
And it also happens after the girl bites the guy's hand and she gets up and runs away.
Yeah, and then the guy gets killed. Yeah, it's an awkward transition. Because you don't need that. You could just cut to, like, the guy just being there next to her. Or just a shot of him quickly running up to her. Also, I question the logic of Tron just standing with his back to this girl, because she totally just stabs him. Like, she literally stabs him in the back. Like, come on now, bro. No one thought to take a
bro.
That's kind of foolish. I don't know, maybe it's just me.
No, it's absolutely foolish. There's no way around it. He should have, like, kicked her in the leg or something. Like, put her hands behind her back, threw her on the ground or something like that.
Yeah, it's just a little silly.
I'm not gonna get stabbed in the back. I've heard that phrase way too many times for me to actually fall for it.
Yeah, I don't know. This is one of those things. It's not bad. I feel like we're like really tearing this apart. It's just like it opens with some goddamn awards, which is pretty ballsy move to me. To like just it's kind of like walking into a room and like throwing your dick on the table, right? That's a power move to open showing the awards you won for the project. So I'm not gonna like deny it. It's got pretty good direction, maybe some strange choices. It's got great VFX. Maybe some like odd editing, but it's certainly well done.
Yeah, there's no arguing that. One thing I'll say about the awards, and this is more outside of fan films, because I don't know how many fan films that we reviewed actually have been entered into anything, but outside of fan films, when you just talk about like short films on the internet, oftentimes they'll put the awards they've won for any film festival they've been in at the front of them. At the front of, like, the fan film, or, I mean, the short film.
Yeah.
So I think this is just, like, doing that. But, yeah, it's one of those things where it's we're talking about it like it's a serious project, right? Like, we don't need to couch our criticisms with this one.
Yeah, and I you know, I try not to be too harsh on fan films, but at the same time, I try to be fair. This one, I don't feel like I'm being unfair at all. I'm like, yeah, it's got some weird things here and there, but that's because I'm trying. There's so little to talk about that we have to talk about. Like, we have to exhaust talking about it, because by the end of this video, we're gonna have like what, 6 times the length of the fan film. That's kind of ridiculous. We have to exhaust everything on this. Exhaust. I don't know, are you exhausted yet?
I'm trying to think if there's anything left I have to say about this.
I like the shot at the end. It's right off the DVD cover and stuff.
Oh, that's cool. You're right.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I got nothing.
How long have we been going on this one? Like
we got 3 more minutes to fill, but we can do that with ratings and talking about what we're going to talk about next time. You good?
Yeah, I'm good, I think.
Okay, you go ahead and give us our ratings
first. Okay. I will give Tron Ignition. Okay, this is difficult. I'm going to give this 3.5 Tron discs out of 5.
Okay. I'm going to be with you on that. I'm going to give it 3.5 light bikes out of 5. It's pretty good. Kind of breaks down if you think about it too much. It's really not meant to be thought about that much, so what can you do? Okay. So we're going to take kind of a departure from our normal fan film discussion-y stuff next week.
Ooh.
It's still a fan project. It's still on film, but it's not like a narrative thing. It's a series of interviews. So we're going to talk about These Are the Actors You're Looking For, which is a Star Wars documentary series where old dude interviews some of like the background actors or like the forgotten actors of Star Wars. So it's not like it's not like interviewing Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher. He's like interviewing Boss Nass, and he's interviewing the guy that played Boss Nass and like the guy that played Jar Jar Binks and stuff. So we're gonna watch. There's a ton of videos of different interviews, but there's only 6 official These Are the Actors You're Looking For episodes. So we're gonna talk about those 6 episodes.
Okay. How long are each episode? Or how long each?
It hovers around like between 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's an ongoing series, so I hope we send some people this guy's way and that people get interested in it. I think that'll do it, though.
That'll do, donkey.
That'll do. It's funny, you turned me on to those fucking videos of, like, this movie, but blah, 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 and I watched Shrek, but every time someone blinks, it speeds up. And that was pretty ridiculous.
There's one where it's Star Wars, but every time someone shoots a laser, it speeds up.
And it's over in, like, 2 seconds.
Yeah, like, the first scene has has the most firing between characters, so, like, within scene 1, you're already going at, like, an incomprehensible speed.
Right. Okay. Well, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
And I'm the Beta Male Cuck.
And we are your Geeky Gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.